Assalamu alaikum. Get to know your Lord. First part of the Right Belief series by Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid. This dynamic literary work of art's main goal is to revive an understanding the names and attributes of Allah. And understanding the name and attributes of Allah will elevate our faith, strengthen us, and keep us steadfast. This wonderful book is now available in an audiobook format and can be found free of charge on YouTube, channel Karim Abu Zaid. Get to know your Lord. You have nothing to lose.
You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah by your side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. You will make it through. The fitra is awake in you. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. With Quran and Sunnah on his side, here's a place where it will thrive. You will make it through.
Wala wal bara. Wala wa bara, which refers to our allegiance. We're going to make decisions throughout the day. We're going to be confronted with situations throughout the day, and you're going to have to fall back upon your belief system. And that's what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam meant when he says change the condition within yourself. When we talk about changing the condition within ourselves, we're talking about changing our belief system, our allegiance, checking our belief to make sure that it is in sync with how Allah says it should be. Changing the condition of ourself entails making sure that my alliances and my allegiance, all my alliances and allegiances are properly placed. It also entails assuring that I am disassociating from anyone or anything that will stand in the way of my journey back towards Allah. Anything that will impact my fitra in a bad, negative way. So every day of our life, even like we said, when we make our prayers, we have to make sure that first of all we pray the prayer within a time frame. That's a big struggle for a lot of Muslims, people who were born Muslim. A lot of them text me; they have a hard time stopping what they're doing throughout the day to remember Allah, to worship Allah. So praying, even though Allah has spaced the prayers out so wonderfully. I mean, you don't have to pray as soon as the adhan is called, you know. No, if you pray after the adhan, you pray an hour after the adhan, that doesn't impact it. As long as the prayer was still in, like Allah says, each prayer has its own time frame. As long as you pray it within the time prayer, and each prayer ends at the beginning of the next. So Allah has spaced the prayers so wonderfully out during the day for us, but still a lot of Muslims struggle performing that obligation. Again, you know, our allegiance, do we say we have allegiance to Allah? We say that Allah is first and foremost, and why come we're not praying our prayers within the time frame? Okay. So even with the prayers, you know, you're going to have to implement allegiance and disassociation. Is my allegiance to the job, or is my allegiance to Allah? Is my allegiance to watching television, or is it to Allah? You know, you may be faced with a scenario on your job or a scenario in your personal life. Subhanallah, you know, your neighbor, you go to get the mail and your neighbor stops you. And your neighbor says, oh, it's so nice to have a Muslim living next door to me. I noticed that you have a little girl who's the same age as mine. Both of us have 6-year-old daughters. and your neighbor says, I'm giving my daughter a birthday party this weekend, and I'm going to have ponies, I'm going to have rides and stuff in the backyard to celebrate my daughter's birthday. And I would love for you as I want to welcome you to the neighborhood, and I would love for you to come and bring your daughter to my daughter's birthday party. So that's another scenario. You're in a situation. Oh my God. I know birthday parties are haram, but this is a chance that I could do some dawah maybe. That goes to everybody's mind. A lot of people want to blame, they use dawah as an excuse to do things that they shouldn't have to do. Okay, so that's an example. I'm caught in a situation where, again, where is my allegiance? Going to this birthday party, is it going to cause more harm than good? Going to a birthday party. Yeah, I'm introducing myself to the neighborhood as a Muslim woman with a Muslim girl, but am I violating a law doing this? Am I violating the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And am I showing displaced allegiance? So even something as simple as that, okay, you're gonna have to implement wala wal bara. So this is a part of our life. That's why I tell you guys, wala wal bara, that's the second part of the shahada that people don't speak about. A lot of people don't speak about like they should. Yes, we believe in Allah and his angels and books and all of that, but that's all words. It's also about allegiance. My allegiance is to Allah. My allegiance is to those angels. My allegiance is to Allah's books too. My allegiance is to the prophets of Allah. My allegiance are the choices I'm making in life, contradicting what I profess to have allegiance to. That's the question that we all need to answer for ourselves every day, because you're going to be faced with stuff like that every day. I'm going to give you an example. Today, I went to the mailbox to get my mail. And by the way, I got to remind me to tell Dr. Assam I got Dr. Assam's package too. Dr. Assam, if you're listening to me, I got your package in the mail. May Allah bless you. Okay, I went to the mailbox to get my mail, and we have a clubhouse here where I live at, and a swimming pool and all of that. And one of the ladies, the rental office ladies, was there too, checking her mail because she lives here too. And she said, "Oh, it's so nice to see you, Miss Nashiba." She said, "We're having a get together at the clubhouse in 2 weeks, so that we got a lot of people that moved in, new neighbors, a meet and greet." That's what she called it. We're having a meet and greet. There's a lot of Muslims that live here. She said, "But I know you lecture on the internet a lot." She said, I would love for you to come to the meet and greet, and I told her that your meet and greet is not for Muslims, right? She said, "Oh, it'll be the other tenants will be there too, the male and females and all that." So there's an example. I'm placing a lot of people would say, "Wow, this is a chance for dawah. This is a chance for dawah." But I told her, "I'm sorry, I can't participate." I said, "I don't, intermingle with men." And I told her, "I don't socialize on a level like that. I told her, had it been just all women or all Muslim women, then that would have, maybe I would have given you a different answer." I said, "But since this is a tenant meet and greet, oh, we're going to have kosher hot dogs and Polish boys. And I said, "It's not the food." I said, "It's just that I don't meet and greet, with the opposite sex, So that's an example, you're going to be faced with decisions like that every day. So that's why it's so important, guys, for us to learn this religion, to relearn this religion correctly, with the understanding of those companions. And one of the things that I always tell the women here, always ask yourself, what would Aisha radiallahu anha do? What would Khadija radiallahu anha, do? What would Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet, do if, you know, if someone had asked Aisha to come to a meet and greet and it was intersexes and, oh, we got the kosher hot dogs and stuff, that's fine and good, but no, I don't step outside my realm. This is my realm as a woman. I don't step outside my realm for that. No, I'm not coming to your meet and greet. Thank you for inviting me. Have a nice day tomorrow and keep it moving. Okay? So we talked about this. We've been speaking about this all week. We gave the example of the prayer. I gave you other examples. Today, what I want to do is focus in on how, again, our example should always be the Prophet Muhammad. So today we're going to give examples from our Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as to how every day of our life we're going to be faced with a situation in which we are going to have to apply allegiance or disassociation. And that helps to form our character as a Muslim. We talked about in my class yesterday, enjoining good and forbidding evil. By the way, y'all know that enjoining good and forbidding evil falls under the category of wala wal bara. Enjoining good and forbidding evil is an obligation upon us all as Muslims. And for those of us who do it correctly, this shows that we have the character and we have good ethics that are like what our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with. Our understanding should be the same understanding those companions had, not anyone else. So let's take a look at this. Okay. All right. And again, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is it that one of the things that differentiates him from all the other prophets and messengers Allah sent? We talked about how Allah sent thousands of prophets and messengers. Okay. But what puts him at the top is that Allah made him an example for all mankind and jinn. He was on the most excellent character. He had the most excellent character, the most excellent mannerisms. And all mankind and jinn after him have to emulate his character, emulate his mannerisms. So he taught us how to incorporate allegiance to Allah, to him, and to the religion in our character and morality. Remember, the Prophet said, I was sent to teach you good character, good morality. And by teaching you good character and good morality, in turn, I taught you Islam. Okay, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was very honest. He was very trustworthy. In fact, he told us that the believer is just a human being, and human beings are capable of committing all types of sins. But there's one sin that a true believer can never commit, and that is the sin of lying. The believer is always honest. The believer is always trustworthy. The true believer will do everything in his or her power to make the right choice so as people can continue to trust him or trust her. And that's how our prophet was, even before he received the call to prophethood. He was known as the trustworthy. There's also, guys, another hadith that I don't hear enough of. And the source of this hadith is Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. As the Arabs converted to Islam, one day, one of the companions came to the Prophet and he said, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, who's the best amongst us?" In fact, this was after the conquest of Mecca. You know, some of the Ansar got a little jealous. They allowed Shaitan to play them, you know, because Shaitan wanted them to get jealous and say, "Oh, the Prophet don't need y'all no more because his people, his tribe, the Quraysh are converting." So one of them asked him, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, who's the best of us?" Who's the best? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best of you are those who had good character before Islam. I love that answer. That hadith sticks with me ever since I was a kid, because he knew that there was jealousy going on. And so that shows how wise he was as a man, as a human. He knew that this person wanted to hear that we're better because we're the Ansar, we were the first. Allah has already said that. Allah had already sent down the verses of the Quran, letting the people know that those who became Muslim after the conquest were not on the same level as those who were Muslim before. But that didn't stop the jealousy. So I love the hikmah the Prophet Muhammad used. He said, you want to know which amongst you men? And he looked at all of them, the newly converted men and those that were with him from the beginning. He said, the best amongst all of you are those of you who had good character before Islam. Remember, all the companions were converts. And by the way, I received a question today. People in my Zoom room remind me, I'm going to talk about that Friday in my Q&A. One of the sisters here asked me, should a Muslim woman who was born Muslim, would she be better off marrying a man who was born Muslim like her, even if he's a bad Muslim? Or would she be better off marrying a convert who is a good Muslim? That's going to be my topic for Friday, because I thought about that and I have a lot to say about that. And that is going to be based on what the Prophet said here. Those of you who had good character before Islam, you're the ones that remain, that get even better during Islam. Subhanallah. Those who were honest, those who were trustworthy, those who didn't steal, those who didn't lie, those who did not cheat before they converted to Islam. They make the best Muslims because that character was already in them. There's another hadith where the Prophet, and it's the same hadith, really. It's just that when you read the hadiths, they're broken up. But I'm giving you the half of the whole story behind that. When he made that statement, he also said, some of us were born with good character. Some of us were not. For those of us who were not born with it, we have to learn good character. So when you convert to Islam, if you weren't born being honest, if you weren't born being trustworthy, that means it's inherited. Then you have to learn how to not steal. You have to learn how to not lie. And I'm going to talk about that on Friday, because that's a great question. Subhanallah, I got two men that want to marry me. Both of them are good Muslims, but one was born Muslim, the other's a convert. What should I do? We're going to talk about that. I really respect that she brought that question to me, because it's something that all of us women need to think about. You know, if a person doesn't have good characteristics, man, he's got to learn it. And that's one of the reasons why we tell you, sisters, be careful marrying a man from prison. Of course, we know that there are some people in prison unjustly, but a lot of people in prison deserve to be there. They were bad people. They were murderers. They were rapists. It's hard they have to learn. They convert to Islam. Now they got to learn how to not rape, learn how to not murder. So again, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what made him the best prophet, the best of all mankind, is the fact that he was born with good character. It was inherited within him. He was honest. He was trustworthy even before he received the call to prophethood. So you might find yourself in a situation where you have to see if you're a person that can implement honesty. For example, you are an employee. You work at a job. You work at a shop as a cashier. You find extra change given to you. Okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep it? Or will you immediately return it to the cashier? So that's a question that's a scenario that you might find yourself into. I know a lot of you would keep the extra money. You go to a store, you buy a jilbab. You give the woman $50. She think you done gave her 100. So she rings it up and gives you back $50 in change. How many of you would keep that $50? I bet you half of you would. I wouldn't. I'd say, sorry, this is a mistake. Subhanallah. So we will be faced with scenarios in our everyday life that will test our honesty. Are you a believer? That's one of the signs. If you're a person who's honest, if you're a person that would give back that $50, then that's a good sign that you might be a believer. But if your answer would, hey, it's on her. That's her mistake. If you say that's her mistake, you failed the test. It was your mistake because you knew better. It was a mistake on her part, but it ain't no mistake on your part. You cap it. So you're a liar. You're somebody that can't be trusted. Y'all see that? The truth is bitter. I asked this question to a relative of mine today before class, and she told me it's her mistake. It ain't mine. I keep the $50. I said, that's why you are the way you are. That's where we differ, because I'd have given it back to her. Even if it was $1 million, I'd given it back to her. Because I would have known it's wrong and it wasn't no mistake on me. That's dishonesty. Everybody get it? Okay, so another example. Our Prophet Muhammad, what makes him the best of all mankind? Not only was he honest and trustworthy, he was also the epitome of kindness and compassion. He didn't sympathize for people like y'all do. He empathized. If he were living today, he wouldn't feel sorry for the people of Gaza. He'd empathize. He'd put himself in their shoes and figure out what to do, how to make it better. But he wouldn't sit around feeling sorry for anybody. There's a difference between compassion and sympathy. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is described by Allah as a mercy sent to the world. Why? Because he treated everyone nicely, including the non-Muslims. Many are the stories of Roman emperors. When I was in college, I have 2 degrees. I have a degree in communications and I have a degree in ancient civilizations, because I always loved history too. When I took some of my history classes, oh my God, they talk about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So many Roman emperors who are famous, so many Roman Caesars, so many Persian people, they were impressed with him. How he was so kind, he was so polite. That's what caused many of the non-Muslims to convert to Islam, because they were so impressed with his kindness and his compassion. Can you say the same about yourself? You're a Muslim nurse. A Muslim nurse. You know, a lot of people are going into the nursing field because of the money. That's the best money. You want to know how to make some money, be a nurse. You can make as much money as you want because there's always going to be a demand for nursing because people are always going to get sick and they always going to die. But a lot of people become nurses just for the money, not because they care, not because they have compassion. A lot of people become nurses just for the money, and they don't bathe the clients. You go to a nursing home. Some of those patients are laying in urine and laying in filth all day. They only change them but right before they shift in. And the patients got bed sores and stuff. Because everybody else is doing that, are you going to do that too? The Muslim nurse provides diligent and compassionate care to all her patients. Not because of the money, but because she knows that this is an amanah. This is a trust. This is a trust between her and Allah. Also, some nurses discriminate. When they see that you are Muslim, some of them that don't like Muslims will just ignore you when you buzz them to come see you. Some of them are racist because of color. Oh, that's a black lady over there. We're going to let her cough and not give her medicine. But this Jewish lady here we'll take care of. Well, the Muslim nurse provides care regardless of religion, regardless of ethnicity. Why? Because she knows that this job is a job of amanah, of trust. These patients, their health is in her hands, is placed in her hands. Their care is placed in her hands. Allah is going to ask her about that. Okay? So this is another example how you're going to have to implement your allegiance and disassociation even in the workplace. If your allegiance is to Allah, you will keep the amanah ties as they should be. Okay? Also, another thing about our prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prophet Muhammad was very patient. As we talked about yesterday, the stronger your faith, the more tests and the harder the tests will be. Allah is going to continue to test you until the angel of death pulls your soul from your throat. And each test is going to be stronger and worse than the previous one. You're going to have to implement patience and endurance. Like I tell you guys, there is no human being on planet Earth today, not the people of Gaza, not the people in Africa, not the people in China, not the people in Afghanistan, not the Native Americans, not the African Americans. There is no human being on this planet who was persecuted, genocided, more than our prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those companions who were with him. But one thing about him, he taught them all patience, patience, patience. When he went to the city of Taif to call the people to Islam and to ask for protection after his wife and his uncle had died, who had protected him. That was the worst time in his life. He felt alone. He felt helpless because he lost his uncle and his wife, Khadijah, who were his two protectors. Those people laughed at him. They threw rocks at him. They put the dogs and children to run him out of town. He was so broken from that. So broken from that as he wiped the blood from his face. Allah sent the angel of the mountain to him, and the angel of the mountain said, if you want, I can take revenge for you. I can cause this mountain to fall down and destroy all these people and their dogs. The prophet said, no, let them be. I just pray that maybe their children will listen and convert to Islam. So that's an example. A lot of you Muslims today, the war is not even affecting you on a physical level. You're looking at what's going on in Gaza, and you're apostating from the religion. You're cursing Allah. You're saying, I don't know why Allah would do this. I don't want to be Muslim no more. And it ain't even impacting you on the level it's impacting the people that's experiencing. You have no patience. That's why the prophet said that faith, you can tell if a person is a believer or not when a hardship happens. The person shows whether he is a true believer at the first stroke of a hardship. Patience is just one component of faith. There's other components of faith too. That hadith in Bukhari is talking about not just patience, because the prophet said faith consists of 60 different odd parts. Patience is one. We don't even have patience. So how can you call yourself a believer? And you may find yourself, you think that you know your religion. Don't think that Allah won't test you. Allah says, just because you say you believe in me is not enough. I'm going to test you. I'm going to test you to see if you truly believe. So you may find yourself at your job working. You're a Muslim woman. You have no husband. You have no choice but to work. But you're the only Muslim in your department. Your co-workers whisper about you. Your co-workers stare at you. Your co-workers, don't trust you. Okay? Someone makes a comment, calls you a terrorist or something. So you find yourself put in a position. Do I retaliate back at this person in the way that he's retaliating at me and call him a kafir and call him whatever? Or do I remain calm and I go to my colleagues and educate them about my religion in a respectable way? How many of us do it the way of retaliation? How many of us do it respectfully? So again, that's another example how you're going to be placed in those type of situations. Or even with your neighbors. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was kind to his neighbors, both Muslim and non-Muslim. In fact, the Prophet told the companions, when you cook a pot of soup, put a little bit more water in it so you can share it with your neighbor. Because when a person cooks soup, what happens? Everybody can smell it. That smell is so good. Maybe your neighbor doesn't have any food, but he or she is too proud to say anything. So put a little extra water in the soup. And then when it's done, take a bowl to your neighbor. How many of us do that? How many of us will do that? Subhanallah. I did it one time. Right here. In fact, last summer, I think I told y'all about it. My neighbors next door. They're Muslim from Somali. I used that Instapart that Pfizer bought me as a gift, and I made some soup. Y'all remember I was doing my little cooking show. I made some soup. It smelled good, man. I thought it was good. And I knew that my neighbor's was next door on vacation. It's a male. He was a male. His wife, I think she's his sister. I don't even know if they married. I think she's his sister because they don't act like husband and wife. And they look alike. I knew that whoever she is went to work. And he was home all day because he works third shift. I'll never forget. I made that soup. I told my granddaughter, I said, Jayla, take some of the soup next door to the man next door. So, because I know he smelled it, he works third. She told me he ain't going to want to eat this nasty stuff because she didn't eat. My grandkids don't eat my food. Y'all know I like to cook. It's a hobby. It's a hobby. I think my stuff, nobody eats my food except Amina Fresno. She the only one that ever ate my food. But anyway, I said, Jayla, put some in a bowl and take it to the brother next door. His wife or sister or whatever she is, she worked. Jayla said, okay. So she put some in there and she knocked on the door. I was like waiting. She was gone for about 10, 15 minutes. Then she came back with the bowl and it still had the soup in it. He said, thank you, but no thank you. I said, why? What took so long? She said, he was asking, should he eat it or not? Because it smelled good, but it didn't look good. My soup was not, she said it looked like gravy. It was supposed to be red in color. I didn't know. It was Sabrine. Sabrine told me later that I should have put some tomato paste in it. Y'all remember when I made that soup? I said, why does it look like water? Sabrine said, did you put some tomato paste in it? I said, no, I didn't. Well, that's why it looks like water. So he didn't eat it. But alhamdulillah, I got the reward because I offered it to him. I'll never forget that. And I remember Sabrina and them said, you should have put the tomato paste, Layla. That's the last time I made some soup, too. I need to make some more. But anyway, so subhanAllah, Islam teaches us to be kind and neighborly to our neighbors. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ said, you are not a believer if you fill your stomach with food and your neighbor beside you is hungry. How many of us cook something and share with our neighbor? Okay. Also, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you have to be just and you have to be fair. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, beware of injustice, because injustice shall be a darkness on the day of judgment. We just talked about this here at Sunnahfollowers yesterday. Y'all saw I went through a lot of trials yesterday, a lot of tests and trials. Allah is always testing me with this website. I was put in a situation yesterday where I had to return to do something. Okay. And I told you the reason why, injustice. I ain't going to stand before Allah on the day of judgment and Allah throw me in the hellfire because I was not just with a person. So you're going to find yourself all throughout the day dealing with the Muslims, dealing with the non-Muslims, dealing with your family members, where you're going to have to make a decision of being just or unjust. Also yesterday, I bought a bike for one of my grandsons. The other grandson is tall. He's tall like my brothers. He's almost 6 feet and he ain't even 12. So he has to have a specially made bike because not only is he tall, but he's big too. The other little boy, I bought his bike a month ago because he's little and skinny. He riding all over the city in his brand new mountain bike. But the other boy stuck at home, can't go anywhere because he doesn't have a bike. And I've been trying to get him one for the past 2 months. So yesterday, you guys heard it. I'm live on the internet with it. He found a bike at Target, the kind that's his height, his size, $400. That's why I had to pay. Okay. I had to stop my class. I could have just hung up the phone on him, or I could have just stopped the class. It would have been unjust to you all for me to shut the class down to deal with that, when I know many of you have changed your schedules and stuff, and just to come here to learn. And it would have been unjust to him for me to hang up the phone and somebody else come and buy that bike, because they don't keep that 29-inch in stock. So I had to, tell you guys to hold on, and I had to stay on that phone until I figured out how to charge that bike up on my credit card so he could have a bike like his brother. And now him and his brother and his cousin can ride their bikes together, because he felt like he's being shorted. Summer's almost over. He ain't got a bike yet. It's been 2 months. So you're going to find yourself in situations where you're going to have to implement allegiance or disassociation. Do I disassociate from my website? Do I disassociate from him? Or do I show allegiance to both? Okay? So, subhanAllah, fair treatment is everything. As a Muslim, we have to be fair with our children, fair with our grandkids. Though both of them are my grandsons. I don't favor one over the other, but it looks like the little one is being favored. And that older one could easily say, you favor him, Jidda, because he looks like you. He does. The younger one looks like me. My color, my red hair, curls, and everything. I don't want him to think that I'm favoring the younger one over him because the younger one looks like me. I love you both the same. So Jidda has to be fair. Okay? And also, even when it comes to forgiveness and mercy, subhanAllah, this is something that we Muslim women struggle with. A lot of us come from broken backgrounds too. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. The world just ain't no safe place. I was watching a special on television last night about those hip hop singers, those female singers. They was talking about, what's her name? Baby Dow or Dow somebody. And she was talking about, you wonder why these hip hop singers, Nicki Minaj and all of them, dress like they do. Do y'all know that most of those women were sexually molested? Most of them girls were sexually molested from the age of 5, some of them 2 years old. You'd be surprised the sexual molestation that goes on here in America with these girls. So that's why they grow up with that hip hop singing of those nasty songs and showing their body, because that's all they know. That girl Dow Baby or whatever, Dow something, pretty girl, but she looks so bad. She looked just like Nicki. And she says, y'all would never believe what I've been through. And I never talked about it before. So a lot of us have come from some bad backgrounds. So it's easy for us to hold grudges. But remember, Islam teaches us to not hold a grudge. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, any Muslim who holds a grudge against another Muslim will never enter paradise. Now, I ain't talking about a grudge like sexual molestation. If somebody sexually molests you, that falls in the category of qisas, which is punishment, an eye for an eye. But I'm talking about, say you angry because this sister called you the B word. It happens. We women do it. You mad because that sister got mad and called you the H word. That's a sign of hypocrisy. We already know that. One of the signs of a hypocrite is whenever he or she gets angry, they act belligerently. They play the dirty dozens. They curse. They call you out your name. So this sister was angry for whatever reason and calls you the B word. After a couple of days, she comes to you and apologizes. Now, should you hold a grudge with her over that, over the B word? No. It ain't like she raped you. It ain't like she violated your life, took your life, or stole your property. She disrespected you, but she came to you and she apologized. And if she did it in front of other people, she has to go to the other people. If she went to the other people and apologized to you in front of them, then you got to let it go. You got to forgive her then. It's not the same as somebody molesting you or killing you or stealing from you. Everybody understand that? The Prophet Muhammad forgave the people of Mecca who persecuted him. Remember, Mukhtar went over that in this past week. Right before the Prophet Muhammad died, after the conquest of Mecca, he made Hajj. And he let the people know, for all of you who converted to Islam, who persecuted me and my followers, I forgive you all. He forgave the man who killed Hamza. He forgave Abu Sufyan and Hind, who hired him to kill Hamza. He forgave Ikrimah. He forgave Muawiyah. So who are you that you can't forgive a woman that called you the B word? If she did it the right way, she did it publicly, and she did it to you, apologized to you. So again, we're going to find ourselves in situations where where Allah will test us. And by the way, Allah is the one that puts us in these situations because he wants to test us. As he says, you think you believe in me. Do you really? Well, I'm going to test you. This sister called you the B word. What you going to do? You going to hold a grudge or you going to forgive her? This person at your job called you a terrorist. You're going to come back at him that way, or you're going to do like the prophet and handle it not emotionally, but logically. So now let's give you a quiz to see how well you guys understand this. First question. You are at work and you notice that your coworkers, they like to take the personal hygiene supplies that your job provides for the patients. Your coworkers steal it for themselves. One day, you notice that your paycheck is short. And you say, I could save some money if I do like my coworkers and take some of the hygiene. Allah knows my check is short. Would you take the hygienes or not? Who would answer that? Let's hear. Would you take some of the supplies or not? Let's hear it. Come on, people.
I will not take the supplies because that's a form of stealing and you're stealing from the job. Just because someone else does it doesn't mean that we have to follow what they do. And not only that, since you are a witness to what they're doing, you can either report them. You can, like, you don't have to give names, but you can be like to your manager, hey, I've seen a couple people stealing, and they can, like, have gather everyone up and say, we've been noticing a lot of the items have been missing, and if this doesn't stop, we're going to take legal actions or whatever. And it's just like as the prophet said, the reward for good is good and the reward for bad is bad.
Good job. What do y'all think? What about the other part? What about the fact that your paycheck is short? You ain't got no husband. You ain't got nobody to help you and your paycheck is short. Do any of you believe that that could be an excuse to take the supplies? Can we use that as a reason?
Just talk to the manager and ask him why your paycheck is low. And that's it.
Exactly. We can't do that. And believe it or not, guys, I worked at a place my coworkers will tell you to this day. I worked 36 years for the state. The state got so much soap and body wash and perfume and toilet paper, soap powder, cleanser. I would never take the stuff because I was too scared I'd get caught. And they used to say, Layla, why don't the other Muslims did, but I didn't. I said, girl, the day that I steal be the day I get caught. Nope. And no, your paycheck short, so what? I had a coworker tell me, Layla, they messed up your overtime. They didn't give you your 3 days overtime. Girl, you better get you some of that toilet paper. Nope. I'd go home and call Latifah. I ain't lying, Latifah tell you. Me and Latifah would drive at 3 in the morning for Layla to find toilet paper and toothpaste. I never took their toilet paper, never took their toothpaste. I bought it myself. Because it's stealing. So what? My paycheck is short. That don't mean I'm poor. That don't mean I don't have the money. I do have the money. I got a paycheck. I just have to get in my car and go find a dollar store I can go to and buy a roll of toilet paper for $1. Back then, you could spend just $1 on it. Me and Latifah would do some driving. I sure did. I'd go get paid. And I come home and say, Tiba, I need toilet paper and toothpaste and stuff, girl. It's 2 in the morning because I always work second and third shift. I said, you going to ride out here to me, the boondocks? We go out to the boondocks. Layla can find her some toilet paper and some toothpaste for cheap. Sure did. There's no excuse. Now, what about this, guys? What if the person was poor? This person had no money, no food, no nothing. And that person came upon some toilet paper and toothpaste. Could that person take it then? What do y'all say? You're poor. You have no money, no job, no nothing. Your family is on the street. Y'all need some toilet paper, some toothpaste. And you done asked people to help you. Nobody's helping you. But you come upon a cart that has a roll of toilet paper and toothpaste. Can you take it in that case? What do y'all think? Come on, simple answer. Can you take it? Come on, guys. I got another question. Yes, in that case, yeah. Because there's always exceptions. In that case, yes. If that case, yes. No, not poor like Robin Hood, Miss Jackson. We talking about you have no job, you have no money, you got children, you done went to the mosque for help, y'all ain't got no food, you living on the street. In that case, there's always exceptions. That's just like being stranded in the desert and you come upon a can of Budweiser beer. Can I drink the beer to save my life? Yes. Can I take the toilet paper and the toothpaste to save my kids and my life? Yes. So there's exceptions, but it's got to be a scenario like that. It's got to be a scenario like that where there's no other alternative. Y'all understand? Okay, what about this question? You live in an apartment and part of the lease is that after 10 p.m., the environment must be quiet. Your neighbor blasts their music during that time. Your husband tells you to call the police. How would you handle this situation? How would you handle that?
I'll handle it. I'll just go next door and ask them, can they turn down their music? Because it happened to me before. And so sometimes if they won't turn it down or whatever, I'll go to the office or whoever the landlord is and tell them. So you won't get into no feud with them.
What you guys think about her answer?
Yeah, I agree. I just wouldn't be going alone. I'll take my husband with me.
Exactly. That's the way we should handle that. You know, why would I call the police on her? You know, I'm just go knock on her door and say, hey, it's after 10. You know, we have to turn everything down after 10. Okay. And if they continue to do it, I would report it to the landlord. But I wouldn't, the police would be the last step. Good job. And I think I got one more. Yeah, one last question, last scenario. And like Sister Sakina said, she would tell her husband to handle it because he's supposed to be the protector. Technically, it should be. It should be the husband handling that. But I would tell him to not call the police, but to go nicely next door and talk to the neighbor. Good job, Sakina. Okay, what about this, guys? You see your Muslim neighbor's son sneaking into the non-Muslim neighbor's garage. The next day, the non-Muslim neighbor shares that someone stole her lawnmower. How would you handle that? How would you handle that? The next,
first, you tell the boy, whoever it is, if you seen him, you go up to him and tell him, give him back their stuff. If not, tell his parents. And then if their parents don't do anything, I'll tell the people, hey, your boy stole your stuff.
what y'all think about her answer?
I agree. I would just tell him, the son, since he did steal, I would tell him to, like, put it back whenever they don't see you so you don't get in trouble. But yeah, that's what I would, just so he don't go to jail.
Good job. Exactly, guys. We don't sit there and cover up because it's a Muslim. We're supposed to enjoin the good and forbid the evil, even if it be against ourselves. Okay? Our allegiance is to Allah first and foremost. To the Prophet Muhammad second, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, I would give the Muslim boy a chance. I'd go to his house and tell him, hey, let me talk to you, young boy. I saw you sneaking in the neighbor's garage. You know you took that daggone lawnmower. Turn it in, or I'm going to go to your parents. If the boy doesn't turn it in, then I'd go to his parents and say, your son, I saw him with my own two eyes. And if he still don't turn it in, what would you do then, guys?
I would tell the neighbor.
Exactly. Then I would go to the neighbor. That happened to me quite a few times. Oh, yeah, I seen a lot of stuff. Oh, yeah. I give the Muslim a chance, or I don't care if it was a non-Muslim. Even if it was a non-Muslim, I'd go to him first and say, look, I saw you in that garage. And I'd go to his parents. He needs to turn it in. If they didn't, then I would tell my other neighbor, look, I talked to that boy. I talked to his parents. They didn't do anything, but guess what? I saw him going in your garage that day. I had to do that several times. They weren't Muslims. They were non-Muslims. So even if it was a non-Muslim, you try to give the person a chance to make it right. Try to give the parent the chance to make it right. If that don't work, then I'm telling the people that you did it. I ain't going to sit here and be a part of that. So, mashallah, those scenarios are just examples